Hello, Los Angeles. Hello, fans of Major League Soccer. Hello, fans and lovers of the beautiful game. Hello to the millions
and millions
of Defenders of the Bank listeners. This is episode 283 of the LAFC podcast, heard in over 170 countries. Thank you, St. Martin, for being on the list. I firmly intend to visit you soon. I need a vacation like a newbie golfer needs a mulligan, and I hope to be gracing those nice, beautiful sands fairly soon. My name is Philly. On a desk chair I ride, and I podcast, and that's where I thrive. Look, if you like rock music, you could easily figure out the last song I heard before we started recording. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, well, I applaud you for embarking on your first steps on this musical journey. Music today is absolute trash, so I hope that this pushes you in a decent direction, although I won't say the last song I heard is a game changer. And of course, I speak about myself, but I can't do this without my main Madden pod, the peanut butter to my jelly, the salt to my vinegar, the fish to my chips, the man himself, joining me for the rough and tumble streets of Lawndale, California. These mean streets created a math and Latin teacher out of him. God help us, folks. He's a molder of young minds and a collector of things made out of wool and knit. I give you the mouth of the South Bay, Mr. J.R. Liebert, the
Scarf. What is good? We had the pride of Lawndale in the building today as the honorary Falconer Russell Westbrook from Lusinger High School in beautiful Lawndale, California. And here I am, right here in front of the semi-famous Scarf Wall. That's right. And Philly, we're talking about Vancouver yet again. No shocker there. We're going to do it at least one more time. But I got to tell you, Philly, this takes me all the way back, my friend. It was May of 1995. A young Scarf was in 6th grade. He was merely a small shawl back then. And in May of 1995, blasting through the airwaves, whether you were in beautiful sunny Southern California or where were you living in May of 1995, sir?
Frankfurt, Germany.
Whether you were in beautiful, sunny Southern California, I was living in Torrance at the time, or Frankfurt, Germany, there was one song that you would undoubtedly hear on the radio. I never knew rap duo, I want to make sure I get this right because I had to look it up. Rap duo Loonies.
Nah, the Loonies, bro. The Loonies.
The Loonies.
From Oakland, from
There you
Oaktown.
go. Along with R&B duo or R&B singer Michael Marshall. All I heard when I was in the 6th grade, because, you know, I listened to hip hop and R&B back then. I got 5 on it. That's right. LAFC layeth the smacketh down on Vancouver today by putting up not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5. And because this is an aggregate home and home series, then now we're up three goals on aggregate, right? Because the rest of the world, that's how first round playoff series go. You play once at their place, once at their place, and then you're done on aggregate, right, Philly?
Yeah. Under normal pretenses, that would be the case. But of course, MLS is going to MLS. And, well, no, that's not going to be the case. Because despite the fact that we put 5 on it, don't mean diddly squat going in a bad carpet place here in a couple of days, which I think is absolutely clown shoes, if you ask me.
MLS is exactly doing that, my friend. MLSing all over the place. Absolutely ridiculous. Gerardo, I appreciate you.
He's not wrong.
This is such an American soccer thing that MLS is doing every time we take a step or two forward. Having a player like, I don't know, Lionel Messi playing in our league.
Never heard of him.
The likes of Thiago Almada at just 21, 22 years old, doing the stuff that he's doing, having the breadth and depth of talent that we do, having the best coaching in the league that we've ever had. We then find a way to MLS all over the place and do things like continue to employ Ted Uncle, who is up for referee of the flipping year, nominate guys like Lionel Messi for newcomer of the year because he scored 1 goal and had 2 assists in 6 games. I get it, right?
No, I don't get it. I'm sorry, I don't.
No player has ever influenced the league the way that Lionel Messi did in 6 minutes. But either way, those are clown shoes. But what is the clowniest of all of the clown shoes, Philly, is this ridiculous 3-game best of series. First match at BMO, second match at BC Place. And if somehow, it's not going to happen, people, but if somehow LAFC trips and stubs their toe in Vancouver, we have to come back to BMO on, Thursday, November 9th. Those coveted Thursday night matches, possibly, to play this ridiculousness that would be the third game. This is the stupidest thing ever, Philly. I hate it.
It's no big deal. We've only played our 49th game of the season. What's another 10 games more than what we played all of last year en route to winning the MLS Cup? 40 games is what it took from us to go from the start of the season to hoisting the MLS Cup. We've already played 9 more games this season in all competitions than we did all of last year. And our 50th game is a couple of days ahead of us at BC Place. And yeah, like you said if we stub our toe, then there will be a 51st game, a game in which we're all going to get charged a couple of extra bucks to go back to BMO Stadium for the right and privilege to see Vancouver for the 7th time of the season, if that in fact does happen. And by the way, that's only the first round. We still have a few more rounds to go on our quest to defend our MLS Cup trophy. This is beyond stupid, this best of 3 BS. It's like, an opening round for the Major League Baseball World Series playoffs. Who says best of 3 in world football? It's utterly, dumbfoundingly, I can't think of politically correct terms to use on a family-friendly show. But nevertheless, if we do our job, we win, which we did. We go forward, we win again, and then we move beyond. Yes, your finger's going up. What?
I got your politically correct term, Phil. You know what I'm about to say. Horse pucky.
How much fun could this be?
Horse pucky. Come on, that's exactly what it is. It's horse pucky. My favorite adjective to call anything that I can. It's horse pucky. You know what's not horse pucky, Philly? Smooth segues with Defenders of the Bank.
There's a buildup, and I'm wondering what you're going to expose. What's not horse pucky?
Being a member of the Flex family. That's right. Guys,
definitely not horse pucky.
You know what it is. Head on over to flexpowertools.com for all your power tool needs. And don't forget, any power tool you buy, I think this even extends to their radios, to their lights, to their stands, all kinds of stuff that Flex sells. You get a full 100% lifetime warranty on any Flex power tool you buy through December 31st, 2023, which, by the way, is coming up. It's almost Halloween, people. So you got a couple more months left to get your lifetime warranty on any Flex power tool you buy. FlexPowerTools.com, the proud sponsor, not only of the front of the kit of your defending and soon to be repeating MLS Cup champion Los Angeles Football Club, but also of Defenders of the Bank, FlexPowerTools.com. And we want to remind everybody that the Mauricio Facio Futsal Court in Southeast LA, the fundraising effort is underway. Don't forget LAFC.com/Mo-Facio to get your donations on. And Philly, maybe I've been approaching it all wrong. What I'm going to do, my friend, is I'm going to think of a donation number. I'm going to start it nice and low and slow, because what we want is the millions
and millions.
So head on over to LAFC.com/Mo-Facio and donate to the Futsal Court Foundation. So let's make it easy. In honor of today, let's put 5 on it. That's right. I got 5 on it. $5 to the Mo-Facio Futsal Court. Listen, if all of our listeners from one podcast would all donate $5 to the Mo-Facio Futsal Court, we could have this funded in like 2 or 3 episodes, people. So get on it, LAFC.com/Mo-Facio. Not hard to beat 5. What you got, Philly? Oh, Jesus, it's Hello Kitty. Oh, my God. Big Kid Zach is in the chat.
Hello, Mr. Scarf. If you were wondering where I disappeared to, I somehow fell in between Philly's monitor and keyboard behind his laptop. That's why I have been MIA. I was screaming for his attention, but unfortunately he did not hear me. So hence, here I am, and thank you for asking about my whereabouts. You are a very valued and appreciated member of the millions.
And millions. I wasn't asking. Big Kid Zach.
Much love, Big Kid Zach.
All right, now that we've addressed the Hello Kitty controversy, all right, you normally highball things, and I'm going to lowball things. And I'm going to lowball things. For those of you not watching this, Big Kid Zach is apologizing to Scarf for asking about the whereabouts of one Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty's been MIA for a little, and yeah, obviously heard her about her whereabouts. Anyway, I digress. My number, Scarf, is the number 35, not necessarily in honor of one Reggie Lewis, formerly of the Boston Celtics. May he forever rest in peace. He died of a heart attack a very long time ago. For those of you who don't know who Reggie Lewis is, I suggest you Google him. He was an outstanding basketball player within his own time. Unfortunately, he met a heart attack-like demise, which unfortunately is exactly what Matthew Perry of the show Friends met earlier today. 54 years old, died of cardiac arrest in a hot tub. And I bring this up as a, not necessarily as a buzzkill, but as a reminder that live your life, folks. Like, you never know when something's going to happen. I mean, this is a big shock to all of us. Anybody who was a big fan of the show Friends, losing a guy as talented and as funny as Matthew Perry is a kick to the stomach. He's only 11 years older than me. You got a 54-year-old guy who passes away of cardiac arrest. That's some scary-ish. So bottom line is, go out there and live your life the best way that you can, because you don't know what tomorrow holds. Anyway, 35, Scarf. 35 for the number of goals that Denis Bouanga has scored across all competitions. And it is pretty awesome. Only Carlos Vela has scored more than Denis Bouanga over the course of an entire season. Obviously, give or take your preseason, your postseason, and all these other tournaments. But that's going to be my number. 35 in honor of Denis Bouanga's 35 goals.
By the way, my favorite player growing up was Frank Thomas of the Chicago White Sox. He also
the big squirt.
Nope, big hurt. He also wore 35. That was another favorite of mine, 35. So, all right, look, we went off the rails a little bit. It's time to get back on the rails, folks. You guys know what we do. We'll do a little bit of this day in LAFC history, a very quick bit of news and notes, and then shocker, let's talk about Vancouver. This day in LAFC history, Philly, no doubt, people around the world celebrating the birth on October 28th, 1999, of the legend of LAFC that is Shaft Brewer Jr.
Oh, hang on.
Oh, but hang on. Hey, it's your Shaft Brewer Jr. kit. Yes, guys, Philly does indeed own a Shaft Brewer Jr. kit. Hold that up a little closer to the camera. It's hard to see with that silver lettering in the back. There it is. There's a Shaft Brewer Jr. jersey. That's right, folks. This is the kind of content. If you watch on YouTube, you get to watch Philly hold up a Shaft Brewer Jr. kit.
How many of y'all got one of those?
Dude, I think you and Mr. and Mrs. Shaft Brewer Sr. may be the only three with Shaft Brewer Jr. kits. I like that, man. Going to the Wayback Machine. Happy birthday, Shaft Brewer Jr. And then October 28th, 2018, our inaugural season, the finale, a 2-1 loss at Sporting Kansas City. So we finished, wait for it, third in the West, just like this season. Carlos Vela scoring his 14th goal on a 63rd minute PK. And it was Carlos Vela, Sebastian Giovinco, and Ignacio Piatti as the only three players in the league that year to reach 13 goals and 13 assists or more. And in that match, Jordan Harvey became the 38th player in MLS history to reach 25,000 minutes. And that is this day in LAFC history. Y'all are excited in the chat after we put 5 on it. I'm going to keep doing that all episode. I don't even care. Let's do a quick check-in on Sifu. His knee hurts, and he didn't play. He has not played the last couple matches. 0-0 Europa League draw versus Sparta Prague for Rangers, and it is not okay for Sifu, who is not playing. And that is our news and notes. Let's talk about Vancouver. Oh, hold on. Philly has the sign up. Yes, sir.
Yep. Now, this is not necessarily LAFC news or notes, but we were talking about one Shaft Brewer. It's his birthday. I want to give a shout out to a member of the LAFC community that's very near and dear to my heart. And by the way, for those of you joining us right now, it's 11:05 on Saturday, October 28th. Very, very rarely do we ever go live on these podcasts because we typically record at 1, 2 in the morning. So again, for those of you taking your Saturday night to spend and hang out with us, like we really appreciate that. But I want to give a big shout out. Billy just dunked 1 liter of rum. You're not wrong, man. There's a bunch of Captain Morgan in this Dr. Pepper that I bought from McDonald's. Holy moly, Noe. You read my mind. But anyway, I digress. I want to give a big shout out to our good friend of the pod, Isis. Now, for a guy who has a face for radio and a guy who's somewhat self-conscious, being married to a beautiful human being and that a panda, and me being your average Joe looking kind of guy, the one person that has always done a tremendous job at making me look somewhat decent is that of Isis. Her barbershop on Burbank Boulevard in Burbank, Isis Black and Gold. I love Isis. She has a birthday today, or tomorrow, I should say, October 29th. It's not very gentlemanly to obviously disclose her age. She's only going to be 25 tomorrow, but I just wanted to give her a big shout out. Thank you so much for your friendship, everything that you've done, the haircuts, the shaves, the respect, the accolades. Meeting you and also are arguably one of the coolest people that I've met, period. And I just want to give a big shout out to you. Happy birthday. Hope you have an awesome day. And from the bottom of my heart, I got nothing but love for you. Hope you have an awesome day.
Listen, to me, anybody that can make you look halfway decent the way that she does. I mean, happy birthday, Isis. You know we love you. Oh, so we love you as well, but it's not your birthday. So happy birthday, Isis. You guys got to check her out. Isis Black and Gold on all the social media. She does do an amazing job with Philly because he looks like that right now, which is pretty solid. So nice.
Well, some would argue that's not necessarily the greatest thing, but the platinum colored haired flamingo comes by way of Isis. So I'm not coloring my hair myself. So happy birthday, my dear. Again, hope you have an awesome day.
Yes, sir. All right. I don't think we've talked about him enough. So let's talk about him for the, 5th time this season. It's the Vancouver Whitecaps, folks. That's right. We know them very, very well. The nice part about playing Vancouver for the 5th time, Philly, especially after we played them just last week, is that we don't have to get everybody familiar with the team's previous history, with the team's coach, with the team's formation, with what they like to do. We can just hop right in to the lineups and the matchup and the breakdown of the beatdown as we put 5 on Vancouver at BMO. Led into the match by Vanni Sartini. Look, Vanni's a good dude. Everybody in the league seems to love Vanni Sartini. He and Ryan Hollingshead apparently had a chat after last game. Vanni Sartini is one of those super likable players, coaches, but you got to wonder what he's going to be able to do to reclaim any sense of locker room dignity and respect after 5 goals at BMO. It's going to be a tough uphill battle for Vanni Sartini in his 3-1-4-2, according to MLSsoccer.com. In goal, a player who I have said over and over on this show is perfectly meh. It's just okay. I am not a huge fan of Yohei Takaoka. And I think if you look at the numbers, you look at the metrics, you will see that he is a perfectly middle of the road keeper in MLS. And he looked everything but like a good keeper tonight. Look, hard when you're facing the barrage that he did, but unfortunately not the best night for Yohei Takaoka, and we are fine with that. We hung out with the parents of and the family of young Tristan Blackman before the match, said hi to them. We do miss him here in Black and Gold Land. They were super nice. Shout out to the parents and family of one Tristan Blackman. Noe Perez is on it right now in the chat, y'all. Defender Ranko Veselinovic and Javane Brown rounding out the 3-man back line for Vancouver. In the midfield, checking back into the starting lineup after a short spell of injuries and unfortunately replacing one of Philly's favorite players in Sebastian Berhalter was Andres Cubas back in the lineup for Vancouver. I love when Philly hates that when I give him players that he doesn't like or teams that he doesn't support. I do it all the time. Just throw it at him. Last match's player of the match for sure. I had to double check that he was even on the pitch today would be midfielder Richie Larea. Talk about no impact after owning LAFC last match. Midfielder Pedro Vite and 2 new starters into the lineup, replacing Ali Ahmed and Ryan Raposo, were Alessandro Schopf and Sam Adekugbe. Sam Adekugbe had a pretty good match today, that's for sure. But Alessandro Schopf, just okay. And then their big guns up top, Ryan Gauld and Brian White. These guys are their heavy hitters, and they definitely did some heavy lifting against us in the first half. And then we put the kibosh on everything and anything that Vancouver was about to do. Philly, who is coming out for the black and gold?
That Vancouver lineup, pretty darn good in that new 3-5-2 formation. And again, congratulations for them for appearing in their first postseason since 2017. As far as LAFC is concerned, we find ourselves in a familiar territory in the 3 seed. And of course, going into this match, there were a couple of things that made me nervous, Scarf. The last time we were a 3rd seed was 2018, back when we went up against Real Salt Lake in our first ever playoff season, when you and I at halftime were planning trips to Seattle. Demir Krylock and company had other thoughts. They ended up beating us. That didn't happen to be the case today. But another thing made me nervous before I get into the lineup, Scarf. We got one of these. And for those of you watching on the YouTube, of course, thank you once again. We got one of these.
Oh, rally towels.
You know, something about the rally towels is, historically speaking, anytime we've gotten rally towels, we've never really been that good. I'm looking at a shoulder-to-shoulder one. I'm looking at another one that we got back in 2018-ish. Rally towels has never been the successful thing for LAFC. But we broke a couple of streaks, and the past does not matter. So LAFC's lineup that went in there, and as you said, put the 5 on the Whitecaps, starting in between the pipes, number 16, Maxime Crepeau. Safe to say that John McCarthy is obviously going to be relegated to a backup role for the remainder of this season. Maxime Crepeau facing his predecessor club. He had an interesting game today. Our backline, Ryan Hollingshead, and boy, did the former Bruin, who was a striker in his collegiate career, have a good game. Jesus David Murillo, Scarf's favorite player, Giorgio Chiellini,
Yes,
and of
sir.
course, Cheeky. What?
I said, yes, sir.
Oh, I thought you said 3rd. I was about to say, hey, what? And then, of course, who? What? What? I don't know. I thought you said something. I don't know. This latency. My bad, folks. Anyway, and on the outside, back on the other side, Chiqui Palacios. Our midfield consisting of Timothy Tillman, Ilie Sanchez, and Mati Bogusz, who is a corner kick specialist this game. You want to get that guy on your set piece if Carlos Vela isn't there. And up top, Kike Oliveira, Carlos Vela, and your 2023 MLS Golden Boot leader, Denis Bouanga, the 3rd player from LAFC since 2018 to earn this distinction. Pretty darn cool stuff. As far as the bench is concerned, players that made an appearance in this game, albeit a couple of minutes, Kellen Acosta, Aaron Long, Sergi Palencia, and El Pistolero de Agua. I said it right? Mario Gonzalez.
Mario Gonzalez. All right, look, people.
Mario. Oh, where art thou, Mario?
We
That's
have
the same ring as Brian, by the way.
Yeah. Look, the when people would I see that's not a bad Philly. Do me a favor, wave your rally towel around. Oski is saying that when you wave them around, it actually looks white instead of black. Let's see. Wave it around. Is there? Yep. Here we go. Here he goes. This is why you watch it. Oh yeah, it's a lot of white going on there as well. You're absolutely right. Good call, Oski. I didn't even think about that. I was watching the game. What's up, Smalls Kenobi? How are you guys in the chat? Look, I guess though the best part is the all black towels have been the ones we've been losing with. So maybe keeping it white on the back and black on the front. Oh, Philly now has a bib on. Excellent. Look, we got 7 goals to talk about, people. A couple of yellow cards, a couple of near misses, and some substitutions that may be pretty significant in the history of this club. So we are going to get right to it. Look, it was a relatively boring match for the first 18 minutes or so. I don't know how you feel, Philly. If there's anything you want to talk about before Ryan Hollingshead inches closer to the old man in KC, Graham Zusi. Ryan Hollingshead, and look, we got to talk about one thing, Philly, over and over on this particular podcast. Set piece magic by LAFC tonight is where it was at. I feel like we went weeks without scoring on a set piece. And oh my goodness, Philly, did we open Pandora's box in this one? Carlos Vela with a perfect in-swinger of a corner kick to the back post. Ryan's header saved brilliantly by Takaoka. So the bummer is no assist for Carlos Vela on this play, but Ryan stays after it. The rebound was massive, and he slots it 5-hole right through the keeper's legs and into the back of the net. Philly, his first playoff goal since 2015, almost 8 years to the day since his last playoff goal. And that gives him 33 goals in all competitions. Ryan Hollingshead now just 2 away. And going back to your number, Philly, 35. That's the number of goals Graham Zusi has in his career. Ryan's coming for you, Graham, in all competitions. And Philly, this is exactly what you and I talked about on One More Sleep. Start early. And we got one just 18 minutes in.
I mean, we're a successful team when we happen to find the back of the net first. Anytime we concede, well, we've only won 2 games anytime that we concede. So this is obviously putting our boys off on the right foot. You talked about Ryan Hollingshead not getting a goal in the postseason in several years. Well, to quote the great Cheech from Cheech and Chong in the movie Ghostbusters 2, when he sees the Titanic boarding into the New York docks, well, better late than never. That makes his 5th goal of the season. And like you said, you already quoted his number, MLS wise. Yeah, he is catching up to the old man himself. Ryan Hollingshead is going to retire as the greatest scoring defender in Major League Soccer history, and we've bared witness to quite a few of his goals. So 1-0, and this is the beginning of a set-piece barrage of goals. And honestly, between both sides, while LAFC set pieces were good, newsflash, the Vancouver Whitecaps also had some pretty decent set pieces. Let's talk about something that happened within the 22nd minute. Off of another corner, ball comes off of the head of the Vancouver Whitecap defender directly to Denis, who flicks it over to Vela. He takes a shot in traffic, and that ball comes outside of the 18. But as Vancouver's about to start their counter, something happens that doesn't necessarily happen very often. It is the captain getting an uncharacteristic yellow card for stopping that counter from happening. Carlos Vela was not a very happy camper in the 22nd minute of this game.
Philly, I thought about watching Karate Kid, and you just hear the sensei from Cobra Kai yelling, "Sweep the leg, Johnny." And that is exactly what Carlos Vela did on that yellow card. Yeesh. That was he earned it. You got to admit, our captain earned that yellow. And then I didn't go back and actually watch which player this was. It might have been Richie Larea, but I think it might have been Sam Adekugbe. There was a shot in on Maxime, or a cross in on Maxime, I should say. And he kind of bobbled it just a little bit, and the player ran up right to Max while he was on the ground, maybe tried to poke at it once or twice, but Giorgio was right there. And I don't know, Giorgio played the drums on his back or something that was going on. But it's just one of those moments, man. I love Giorgio Chiellini so much. It was just a weird moment in the 23rd minute. Speaking of weird moments, I think Murray forgot what color we were wearing or what team he was on in the 27th minute. I literally, as soon as the turnover was made, all I said was, "What the hell was that?" And then before I even got the sentence out, Philly, unfortunately, Andres Cubas finding Brian White, their most lethal of all of their goal scorers on Vancouver, essentially 1v1 with Maxime. And in fact, from one of the angles, so Giorgio Chiellini slides in at the last minute and gets a touch on it. Giorgio might have actually kind of redirected that ball into the back of the net. It may have been going wide of that far post, but either way, even if Giorgio doesn't get a touch on it, the turnover, Philly, by Murillo is just awful, and he'll be the first to own that. And after 27 minutes, man, I didn't think we would be equal at 1, but we are.
I didn't think Vancouver would be the team to beat us in any kind of competition. I said it the other day and might have said it to you in passing. The only team that's going to beat LAFC in this first round of the postseason is LAFC.
Yeah.
And Muri forcing, and that really was an unforced turnover and an unfortunate unforced turnover that led to that goal. Look, Brian White, the leading scorer, one of the leading scorers on this team, not just his 15th of this entire MLS campaign. You get that guy a little bit of distance, and he's going to go out there and punish you. But we punished them back because, honestly, minutes later, from LAFC's defensive end of the field, Giorgio Chiellini with a long ball in and across the midfield. It happened to catch the noodle and by noodle, I mean the noggin of a Cheeky Palacios and right into the direction, the path of Denis Bouanga. And Denis, with a booyakasha bombshell of a goal, smashes one past Takaoka. And just when you thought Vancouver was going to creep into this game, Denis Bouanga, the golden boot leader, absolutely says, "Ish, don't think so." And for some reason, Denis absolutely loves scoring goals against the Vancouver Whitecaps because this is a club he scores in treasure troves, multiple goals. It's not just one goal from a weirdo angle. Obviously, he had one the other day, but Denis Bouanga punishes Vancouver, and Vanni Sartini's got to be seeing Denis Bouanga in his nightmares. Denis Bouanga putting us up moments after Vancouver got themselves back in the game.
Philly, a beautiful ball over the top from Giorgio Chiellini. That little flick on from Cheeky, and 2 shimmies and a hammer. And that's all it took to get us back on top. 2-1. 2 minutes later, we answer. 40th minute, though, you mentioned it, Philly. Vancouver very good on their set pieces, the limited opportunities we gave them to the left of the box, and it all starts because of another bad foul. This one, he's having a rough first half, Philly. Jesus David Murillo. Look, what's the guy going to do there other than cross it where he already had adequate numbers? You got Chiellini back there. You were fine, didn't need to create this foul, but you take the foul. Ryan Gauld is an excellent set piece taker, maybe one of the best in all of Major League Soccer. And that goes to Sam Adekugbe, and that's exactly how you draw it up in training, right? Beautiful cross, finding the head into the corner of the netting. We're back level. Vancouver has had 2 chances the entire half, and they have 2 shots on goal and 2 goals to show for it. Even Coach Cherundolo joked in the press conference, well, Vancouver was more efficient than we were. They had 2 chances and put them both away. Not wrong. And it was a disturbing trend, by the way, because after Brian White scores, he runs over to the 32-52 and he shushes them and then puts his fingers in his ears. I can't hear you. Are you kidding me? And now it's Sam Adekugbe who's taunting the North. Then I will say, I'm very happy we did not throw water bottles or anything else at Sam Adekugbe. But my dude, here's the thing. Act like you've been there before, because what you didn't know what was coming was a beatdown in the second half. I didn't like this show of chutzpah, this show of a little bit of cockiness from Vancouver. I get it. It's your first playoff match in a long time, but you guys forget who's on the other side of the curtain. Maybe, Philly, it's because they didn't see our banners up in the rafters. They forgot what happened last year. But either way, we're level after 40 minutes, 2-2.
I love that chutzpah, because you know what? It obviously brought the fans in a frenzy as Vancouver was heading back into the locker room as the referee blew the whistle for the end of the first half. You heard a lot of boos. So that got the crowd into the game. And look, if I was a player of the talent level of Gould or White, I probably would have been antagonistic and did the same thing as well. But like you said, every action causes an equal, if not bigger, reaction. And that was about to ensue within the second half as we absolutely go bonkers. But you did say something that I do want to point out. Clearly, the facility managers of BMO Stadium did not hear my rant yesterday. My man or woman or whoever is in charge of that. Our team has been through some stuff over the course of these past years. We got 6 years. We got 2 shields. We got 1 MLS Cup. We had a banner that went up earlier in the season. And somewhere, somehow, that banner disappeared. Those banners disappeared over the course of the regular season. I get it. Maybe it doesn't necessarily matter to you. Maybe the folks of whoever played concert at BMO, the Blink-182s, the Fall Out Boys, whoever the F played, maybe they didn't want to see LAFC's success story. But at the very least, in the postseason, The millions
and millions
would have loved to have seen our banners, because it's not easy winning a championship in any major professional sport, and we managed to win one in a very short period of time. For whatever reason, you did not display those banners. We will forgive you one last time. The next time we are to play at home, and this is a message out there to the front office of LAFC. We do know you listen to this podcast, and we love you very much for doing that, by the way. Let's see those banners. That is a statement that lets the opposing team walking into BMO Stadium remember that they are going up against the defending MLS Cup champions. They don't necessarily need to be reminded, but it's a nice display. And from our vantage point, it's always good to see the banners. It's not easy. 6 years, 2 shields, 1 cup. Let's let those banners fly. No more of this hiding the fabric BS. Do better. And now we start the second half.
And that's Rants with Philly, you guys. You know what he does. 52nd minute. Matty Bogusz. I honestly, I'm going to say this now, and I'll say it later too. My man of the match, Matty Bogusz, with a corner kick looking back post for Ryan Hollingshead once again. His initial touch deflected out to Denis Bouanga. Denis with the shot. That one's deflected. It caroms around in front. And again, opportunistic, waiting for the rebound. Ryan Hollingshead is there again. And there goes Ryan Hollingshead, sitting on 34 goals now in his career in all competitions for Major League Soccer. Philly just one behind Graham Zusi now. More importantly, LAFC leading 3-2 after 52 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a beautiful goal. And look, Ryan Hollingshead, you want to talk about luck? The definition of luck really is when preparation meets opportunity. Ryan Hollingshead found the ball in his pathway in some very opportunistic and advantageous positions. We talked about that first goal. It was a brilliant attempt. He headed it. Takaoka smashed it to it, like ricocheted off of him, and then he megged Takaoka. And then he finds a ball in his pathway, and no problem. The guy who's played striker up until his MLS career would have no problem finding the back of the net. And that's a great thing. And now we're up. But then we go to the 64th minute, Scarf. Set piece yet again.
Yes, sir.
Vela. What's up?
I said, yes, sir. I don't know why there's a lag today, but yeah.
Yeah. Vela with a quick touch. There was no pass, but Vela with a quick touch. And then he ran to it. And, well, let's put it this way. We get a brace. Ryan had a brace. Now Denis says, nah, bro, I got to get in on this too. He gets in there, hits it bottom left, right shelf where I keep the Captain Morgan that ends up in this Dr. Pepper right here. And Denis Bouanga puts LAFC up 4-2. We are off to the races. A 2-player, 2-brace game. Bravo. But wait, as Philly Mays Hayes here with your podcast infomercial commentary is about to say, but wait, there's more.
I love it. By the way, talking about 35, you mentioned it, Philly. Only Carlos Vela with 38 has more. That's Denis Bouanga's 35th. All right, I want to have a quick chat. Hi, Noe. I want to have a quick chat with everybody out there in LAFC land. We affectionately call you the Millions.
And millions.
71st minute. I think many people in the stadium actually realized this as well, because he got a little bit of extra love as he came on, because it definitely wasn't for Mario Gonzalez coming onto the pitch.
Wait, no?
It was a little extra love for Carlos Vela as he came out. Sergi Palencia comes on for Ryan Hollingshead. He got a big cheer. And Mario comes in for Carlos Vela. Could this be the last time we see Carlos Vela at BMO Stadium in a black and gold uniform? It very well could be, folks. If Carlos Vela is going to retire at the end of the year or move on because his contract is up, it's a very real possibility, folks, that could be 71 minutes and it for Carlos Vela. If we do our job against Vancouver in Vancouver, we're not coming back to BMO Stadium for the next round. Now, of course, after that,
We're not?
It's Seattle versus Dallas.
Yeah.
Seattle wins, like a lot of people think they will. Our one-off match will be up in Seattle. And then if St. Louis does what they've been doing all year and they win, our next match will be up in St. Louis. And then if any of the top 5 Eastern Conference teams win out and go to the final, they're going to be hosting by way of points. We only had 52. 5 Eastern Conference teams had more than our 52. There is a very real chance that this could be the last match that Carlos Vela plays in black and gold if he leaves.
Completely disagree, because what's going to happen is Sporting Kansas City is going to upset St. Louis. So St. Louis is going to get booted out. So no number 1 seed in the West.
Okay.
In this next round matchup between Dallas and Seattle, I like the chances of FC Dallas upsetting the Sounders. That being the case, if the 7th seed advances and we are up against them as the 3rd seed, we host the next round. So I do not think that this will be Carlos Vela's last or so minutes at BMO Stadium, like you were alluding to. Obviously, the probability of him being done this season is very high. And the last thing I will say is, look, I don't understand people that boo the captain. I really don't. To me, it's like, as a Yankee fan, obviously none of us were, well, some of us might have been around at this time, but like when Mickey Mantle was digressing, how dare Yankee fans boo him? They didn't boo him. When Michael Jordan was regressing, you didn't boo him. I don't understand, like, the fan base of today's day and age booing unbelievable players because, well, they're not performing the same way they once did a couple of years ago when they were a little younger and a little healthier. Got to show a little bit of class, folks, and a little bit of respect. Yes, Carlos Vela may not be the player that he was back in 2019, but he was only, as Vince said earlier on in a show or a tweet or something, it was only going to get worse. You can't go from having the greatest offensive output in an MLS season and repeat that feat consistently, especially when you're in your early 30s. Carlos Vela was only going to go down in terms of performance. But at the end of the day, if you look at his numbers, there are plenty of players out there in this league, and honestly, anywhere in the world that would kill to have the number of goals and the number of assists Carlos Vela did, despite it being however many in whatever matches. Carlos Vela still in his downward spiral of ability, which honestly I still think is better than a vast majority of players in MLS. We should be so lucky to still have him on our team. And folks, come on. He came through when our club was nothing and nobody, a hole in the ground. Show some respect for the captain. He will get a statue at the end of the day.
I would also like to point something out, folks. My pick for the Eastern Conference champion, I'm going to put it out right now. My pick to win the East. You guys ready for this one?
Better not be Cincinnati.
Plus 2,500 according to DraftKings Sportsbook right now. I'm calling it. Atlanta United is going to win the East.
You're out of your mind.
And here's the great part with Atlanta United winning the East if we go all the way and win the West. Atlanta United, 51 points this year. So it'll be a home match for LAFC taking on Atlanta United. Thiago Almada, Yakumakis, Goose. But is he still hurt? I think Goose is still hurt. I don't even know who plays keeper for Atlanta anymore. But if you want a good value bet, folks, this is Scarf. Plus 2,500 according to DraftKings Sportsbooks. They're playing Columbus Crew. Columbus Crew scored 67 goals this year. Second, Atlanta United with 66. I'm just saying, folks. Atlanta United, LAFC in the final. We host the final. It's not Carlos Vela's last game at BMO. That game will be the Carlos Vela's last game at BMO. A triumphant back-to-back championship winning match against Atlanta United. I'm just throwing it out there, folks. That's what's happening.
Scarf, you're out of your mind. You've been hanging out too close to the 42 Originals 10. You might have gotten some contact high off of what was going on over there. There's no way Atlanta United is making the MLS Cup final. If they do, Scarf, if they do, I will buy you a scarf of your choosing, obviously within a recommended price point. And by the way, I don't understand how we're seeing scarves being sold for $45 and $50 retail. But that's another rant that I just have no energy to thrive in on. Yeah, that's and this is also coming from a guy who spends an awful lot of money on jerseys, which, by the way, I probably shouldn't do that anymore either.
Right behind me. There's the playoff scarf right there. I put it
What'd
up
you
on the
spend?
wall.
$45, $50 a tax?
Yeah.
Good Lord, that costs like a nickel to make. Unbelievable. Gotta love capitalism. What can I say?
You know what else I love? I love Mateusz Bogusz. He was my player of the match. I've already said it. But in the 80th minute, more Mati magic. A perfect corner from Matty Bogusz finds a leaping Jesus David Murillo, who at least gets one back from the two that he helped to give up for LAFC. That was a rough first half. But look, I'm going to say something out there to everybody who's listening to this and wondering, let's see if we can get an edge on LAFC by listening to Philly and the Scarf Defenders of the Bank. 283 episodes.
Thou shalt not say that word on this podcast.
107 countries. I mean, these guys must know what they're talking about. Let's try to get an edge. Well, here's the edge, folks. If Jesus David Murillo is going to be an aerial threat and score like he did in MLS Cup, like he did today, 2 straight playoff matches now with a goal for Murillo, like he did in the All-Star game. If Murillo is going to be an aerial weapon, the likes of which we used to have with Mamadou Fall,
and Walker Zimmerman,
what the hell are you going to do to stop LAFC? Now we're having 4 goals off of set pieces, folks. 4 goals off of set pieces with an actual aerial weapon in Jesus Murillo. Are you kidding me? How do you stop Denis Bouanga, Carlos Vela, Kike Oliveira, the likes of which have been really putting pressure on offenses? The beautiful set pieces by Matty Bogusz and Carlos Vela. I apparently turned on some sort of device here when I said something. I don't even know what I said. But either way.
Nice to know you're turning things on at 11:37 p.m. on a Saturday night.
I'm doing the best I can, my friend. But now you have Jesus David Murillo, and he puts 5 on it. 5 goals. This freight train that is black and gold Philly is running right down the track.
All right. You're a mathematics guy. You teach it to young people.
I agree.
2 negatives and a positive is what?
Unfortunately, still 1 negative.
All right. So Jesus David Murillo certainly clawed something back, because obviously 2 goals that LAFC allowed were, well, courtesy of him. But quite honestly, it was really good that he got in on that play, and it was a beautiful, beautiful header. But that wasn't even the best part about it. The best part about it was Cheeky nearly giving Moody a RKO after the goal celebration. That was my favorite part of the entire scenario. World Wrestling Federation Entertainment, whatever you want to call it these days, Zuffa, UFC, WWE, is alive and well. Cheeky putting an RKO on Moody. That, to me, was your moment of the match.
I saw that, too. He went, because Murray likes to kneel down, right, and celebrate. It's kind of a religious thing, I think, for Moody. And Cheeky was like, no, I got this. Here I come, over the top. RKO.
Out of nowhere.
That was pretty funny. We got a foul on Ilie, resulting in a yellow to Vancouver's Levante Johnson in the 82nd minute. And I'm going to say it again, 86th minute, Philly. Kellen Acosta coming on for Matty Bogusz. Man, Matty Bogusz has made Kellen Acosta kind of replaceable. That's been an interesting turn of events. I said it for Carlos Vela, folks. So I have to say it here in the 86th minute as Aaron Long comes on for Giorgio Chiellini. And if I start to tear up, it's because I love this man so much. It very well could be Giorgio's last match at BMO if all of the things happen that I talked about and Giorgio rides off into the sunset. chance. It'll be his last match.
What's with the sympathetic bye-bye BS? Scarf, we still got an entire postseason to go. We got to stop like kissing people goodbye. There's still plenty of matches to be played.
Listen, I will kiss Giorgio as much as I want to, sir. You leave
That's
me alone.
fair, and that's your prerogative, and I'm not stopping you from locking lips with Giorgio's cheeks. But I'm telling you, stop saying goodbye to players because our season is far from over.
I'm just saying goodbye at home. That's all.
There's no goodbyes to be said because there's nothing set in stone yet. We got to defend.
Look, it's going to be, and by the way, how come we and Philadelphia were the only two teams play? It was like Philly and New England and us with Vancouver. Only 2 playoff matches. They got games going. This MLS playoff format is such a joke by the MLS. They got games Saturday, Sunday, Monday. There's a Wednesday match in there. I think Columbus, Atlanta, which I will be watching because, as you know, I have now picked Atlanta to go all the way in the East. Columbus, Atlanta is on Wednesday. Like, what the hell?
That. We got MLS to watch over the course of the week. I'm not mad at that at all. We come out of this game with a nice win, and we get to relax and watch chaos ensue in Major League Soccer.
Yeah, Philly, you're the stats guy normally, right? Let's tell the millions.
And millions.
Number of shots on goal in the second half by the Vancouver Whitecaps, sir.
Well, I mean, I have it as an overall thing. I don't have it necessarily broken down by half. But shots, I can tell you, 8 with 2 of them on target. And that means 0 on target because, well, they scored their only 2 goals in the game within the first 45 minutes. So they did not get a clean look at Maxime Crepeau in the last 45 minutes of the match. LAFC, on the other hand, ended up finishing off with 19 shots and 6 of them on target. 6 of them on target. How many goals do we have? 5. 5 out of 6. So I don't know. Okay, so if we were going to talk about percentages, Steve will say, yeah, Vancouver was 100% with their efficiencies. 2 shots on target, 2 goals. But I would much rather have 5 goals with 6 shots on target. Possession right at 50%. Both teams passing exceptionally well. Where we really stood out was obviously in the set piece category. We had 12 corners. 12 corners to their 3. That was a big difference maker. Fouls, it was a relatively chippy game with over 30 fouls in the match. 16 for LAFC, 15 for the Vancouver Whitecaps. And they ended up with 4 yellow cards. I repeat, 4 yellow cards. And with today's win, Scarf, LAFC is now unbeaten in 4 straight games in all competitions and unbeaten in their last 4 MLS Cup playoff matches dating to the start of that 2022 postseason.
83.3%, by the way. That's the success rate we had for shots on target versus goals. Not a great game for Takaoka. Not a particularly great game, even though he didn't do anything wrong for Maxime Crepeau. Just didn't need to do anything in the second half. Look, brilliant use of subs, I thought, by Steve Cherundolo, given the luxury of the lead. We got Giorgio and Carlos Vela both out there a little bit early, which is great. I just love Matty Bogusz today. He set piece brilliance. He drew 2 yellows, by the way, with fouls that he earned over the course of the match. 2 of those 4 yellow cards from Vancouver, Philly, came off of fouls that Bogusz drew. And he was just everything we needed right now. I don't know. Look, Timothy Tillman was fine today. So maybe Kellen Acosta can get on the pitch by taking some of Timothy Tillman's minutes. But with the way that Ilie and Jack Dickens in our chat saying Ilie was superb tonight, he's absolutely right. Ilie was great tonight. Matty Bogusz was great tonight. So maybe you platoon Timothy Tillman and Kellen Acosta. But he was my man of the match, Philly. Matty Bogusz was awesome. And again, someone get a milk carton or whatever it is they drink up there in Canada. You got to find Richie Larea, man, because he was, I mean, Philly, you and I, all we did was talk about him left and right last match. And we didn't and shouldn't have mentioned Richie Larea one time.
No, we didn't have to, man, because, I mean, Saturday was a Halloween party. He played the role of a ghost. He wore his costume exceptionally well. He was nowhere to be found. He did his job. He completely vanished, and that's exactly what we needed. So shout out to Richie Larea.
Giorgio Chiellini was great tonight on the back line. Philly, Sunday, November 5th, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. By the way, Philly, it was kind of empty at the start of the match. And why I found out from several people in Founders Club? by the way, and I don't want to out them just in case they think they're silly for getting the time wrong. But if you went to FOTMob, if you went to ESPN, if you went to a bunch of different places up until yesterday to look up the time of this match, it actually said 6 o'clock rather than 5. Talk about a crazy LA reason to miss the start of a match just because like you looked it up and some of the places put the time wrong. I don't know. That was weird, but it felt odd at the start of the match. But I'll say this, by the end of the match, it felt every bit of a playoff match. But look, let's be very clear. Philly, the only section that was full at the start of the match was the north end, the 32-52. Noe Perez wants another shout out. So we'll give Noe another shout out. The rum and coke is real in Noe Perez's world right now.
It's real in my world too, Scarf.
Oski's right. He's saying it in the chat. Everything said 6 p.m. So some people showed up late to the match. Look, you missed 4 goals in the first half, but you saw the second half, which was much, much better. Let's be very clear, everybody. According to everything that we saw and according to the press release that LAFC released today, our match in Vancouver is Sunday, November 5th at 4:30 p.m. I'm not even going to talk about when the third match will be because we're not going to have the third match, Philly. But everybody should be watching the Seattle FC Dallas matches as well because that is who we draw next.
How dumb is it not only to have a best of 3 in the first round, but to get the flipping time wrong? Yeah, it was disappointing. And at one point I was thinking to myself, God, I went, I think, on a tirade ripping apart the New York Red Bull supporters for not even bringing any supporters or fans to their playoff wildcard match. It was empty in Harrison, New Jersey. But it kind of looked very empty at BMO Stadium. But you're right. Everywhere indicated that there was a 6 p.m. start. I went live on Instagram, as we always do before the match began. And people were like, oh my God, I didn't realize it was starting. I'm hustling. I'm getting over there. That's when the thought dawned on me that, oh my God, people have no idea that this game's actually starting at 5 o'clock. So for the Nimrods that posted this at 6 p.m., and that would be a lot of people, Major League Soccer, FOTMob, and a whole bunch of other scenarios. You want a best of 3? Get the freaking game time starts correctly. Otherwise, what's the point of any of this BS?
You're absolutely right. Look, my apologies that I got Looney's name wrong. I said Lunes. I don't know what I was thinking. The Loonies. I'm sorry.
You also think Atlanta United's going to make the MLS Cup final, so I can tell you've been hanging out with some like wacky stuff.
You can mark it down, my friend. Mark it down. Atlanta United is going to have to play LAFC at BMO Stadium.
You're out of your mind.
MLS Cup title plus 2,500, folks. Put your money down to play for MLS Cup. It's going to happen. Philly, we did it.
What?
We're under an hour.
Oh, you don't want to milk it till we get to the 60 minute mark?
I don't want to milk. Oski was in his PJs at 4 p.m. Oski, whatever you're doing with your life, you haven't figured out right, my friend. PJs.
Yeah, I kind of envy that, actually.
Dude, you and me both. Look, want to give a quick shout out to everybody on Christmas Tree Lane. It was an incredible atmosphere out there, late at least, when people started to get there. Philly, I had a wonderful time today. I know you had a wonderful time today. God, I can't believe I'm going to tee this up real quick. As we get set to sign off, I just have one other question. I can't believe I'm about to do this. Hello, Kitty. Did you have a wonderful time on this episode today?
But of course I did, Mr. Scarf. And as I am talking to you, I'm still questioning why I sound like Uvijaniah Doubtfire. But it doesn't matter, dearie. It was a run by fruiting. It was a glorious game. LAFC goes into bad carpet place within a week to go out there and defend their MLS Cup title. It was a glorious day, Mr. Scarf, and I wish you and all the millions
and millions
a glorious weekend.
And you know how we like to end all our episodes. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.